Hi, welcome. Welcome. We have new time zones for people, right? Elaine, Marolakos, Edelson here with Astrology Mojo. I want to help you get your mojo back and come and say hello to me. It's a lovely autumn day here in Sedona. Happy Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. Here, I'll have to type in the box for me to see you if you're here. So just give me a segundo. Hi, come say hello to me. There we go. All right, so busy weekend. I had a friend in town. It was awesome. We just crammed it all into 2 days. You know, it's sometimes you just gotta. And that's the thing. You know, the past comes back in every Mercury in retrograde. So my past came back. And she was wonderful. Thank you, darling, for being here. Okay, so what are we talking about today? Well, we are talking about some of the things that come up during a Mercury in retrograde in Scorpio. But first, let me just say that I am here on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, now at the new time for me, and maybe for you too. It is 9:30 Pacific, 10:30 Arizona and Mountain Time. Yes, Arizona has its own time zone. And then that's, let's see, 10:30, 11:30 Central, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, and 5:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Hey, Gal, it's here, and Dawn. Hello. Hiya. Feeling my amazing vibes. You have amazing vibes. Triple Gemini. Do you ever sleep? Oh my gosh. Words, 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 words. They're gonna get you. Okay. So I'm going to show you what it looks like in the charts. And we are going to be talking about the Scorpio retrograde, Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. And you know those things that come up in the moments when you least expect it. Well, I'm hearing from so many people some of the bigger themes of this particular retrograde already. Losing track of time completely. And then that awareness of a sense of betrayal, a sense of, you know, I talked about it last week, like something's not right, something doesn't feel right. So some people check in with me, friends, family, clients, you know, and I'm hearing that fear is coming up again. You know, I'm being triggered again. There's that, I don't know what to call it, what to name it, but everyone who's talked to me about their stuff, it all comes down to betrayal, mistrust from ago, not now. Right? So the past comes back. So what are we looking at? Oh, and by the way, if you're new to me and you're listening to this in a replay, then you may not know that I say that the planets way out there in the fairy portal don't make you do anything, that we live in a cooperation with our cosmos, so that when the planets make a move, you feel it. When you make a move, the planets reflect that by way of aspects and angles in astrology. And so basically, astrology tells you what time it is. So what time is it right now? Is it time for wealth, health, passion, purpose? Is it time for awareness? Is it time for you to get a move on with something? And a lot of times people will say, well, I don't want to initiate something new in a Mercury in retrograde, but then new things come to you in a Mercury in retrograde. And you say, do I hide in the closet? Do I not engage? You know, what should I do? Well, of course, there's no should or shouldn't. At all, ever. You have to go with your gut. But know this, that if you're making a major declaration in a Mercury in retrograde, especially one in Scorpio, we want to make sure that you have all your facts covered, because you will not be seen, or your declaration will not be given its due. Now, also, if you were born when Mercury was retrograde, then what happens, I have to move my hair away from the screen one more time. Then what happens is there's a kind of a shift in perspective, and suddenly it's so clear. You know exactly what you want, who you're going to talk to, and when. So it depends on the person. Okay, that's just the basics. You know, you do want to allow for extra time. Suddenly, construction springs up in the least likely of places. And, or you go somewhere and people don't, they thought, oh, I thought we were meeting tomorrow instead of today. So you even double check. You're even reading things and you see them differently. Okay, so that happens. The perceptions are off, but it doesn't mean a negative thing. Okay, so let's just be aware of that. Hi, Christine. Oh, massive electrical failure in Quebec due to high winds. Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad you're okay. Yep, we had some strange weather too. Massive winds 2 days ago. Okay, so let's look at the chart and see what we're looking at. This is the screenshot. Ta-da! This is what it looks like. Oh, let me move my little person, my little Bitmoji, my Bitmoji me. Okay. All right. So here's what we're looking at today. We have the sun is in Scorpio and Mercury is in Scorpio retrograde. Venus is Sagittarius right now at 3 degrees. Mars is 20 degrees of Libra. Jupiter is in Sag until December 4th. So drum roll for Sagittarius, sun, rising, and moon. Let's make the most of this time. Not that it ends on December 4th, but then the next phase begins. So what's the direction? What's the trajectory? Because then it's going to get grounded when Jupiter moves into Capricorn. Okay. Then we have South Node in Cap. We've been talking about that for months. Saturn in Cap, Pluto in Cap. And that combination, and I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm just looking at what Dawn posted. Aware of thoughts and feelings, sadness. Yeah, so, and also with Scorpio, there's a tendency to, again, depending on who you are, your sun, rising, and moon, this is general information, but it is evergreen. So if you're listening to this in a replay, you might think, oh, well, it's not November 4th anymore, and this doesn't matter. But, you know, this energy is going to continue through early December for a lot of people. So, and then beyond that, because some of the definitions are very evergreen, they're just a constant. So when I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see. Okay, where am I? Where'd you go, everybody? Where'd you go? Hello. Hello, I'm over here now. Okay, so Saturn, Pluto, South Node. This is something that we've been talking about for a while. I'll just scoot over here. We've been talking about this for a while because this energy is about letting go of a structure or a contract or a vow or a way of being or a stubbornness or an industry or a person or a pattern, a habit. You understand where I'm going? Okay, with this? That no longer serves you, that has caused harm to this date. Maybe originally, you know, wearing certain types of glasses helped you. Now they're hindering you. Maybe the way you worked out benefited you, but now it doesn't. The way you were with authority figures, the way you utilized your power, the way you thought about ambition. Maybe it served you. Maybe it never really did, and that was the illusion. Okay, so as you start to grow into this idea that, I'm just going to make this smaller because it's so big. As you grow into this idea, scoot over here now, that planets do stuff to you, that life happens to you, we need to flip that around, right? We need to flip that around on its head because you are in charge of the vibration you put into this world. Yeah, you. Surprise! Oh my gosh. Who knew you were that powerful? Here's to you. And the fairy forest. Okay, Does that make sense? Yeah, it does, right? You get it. So, everything is transitory. I'm just going to close this out for a sec. Everything is transitory. So, if you're feeling something and it doesn't feel congruent with who you are, you want to ask yourself, at what point do you feel like you have betrayed yourself? Because that's what it comes down to. You might say, they did that to me, or this thing happened last year, 5 years ago, last week, but I'm still feeling it. And, it's an undercurrent, and maybe, you break out, or you have an illness, or you just get this sense of an undercurrent of disruption. Scorpio is a water sign. And it's the kind of water sign that represents, and I know people go, well, where does a scorpion come from? And how does that relate to water? Right? What were the ancients thinking? When you look at water, there's all kinds of water, right? There's ice, there's rain, there's sleet, snow, boiling water, there's condensation, there's mist, there's fog. When we look at Scorpio energy, we're looking at the kind of water that creates the rebirth. So the sting comes from the awareness of the truth for you, not everyone's truth, although that is a collective energy that is happening now. More and more vibrations are opening up and frequencies are getting higher. There's more anxiety in the world. There's more, I'm overwhelmed. There's more emotion. There's more, and that's a current of energy. Okay, so we are born in water. When we die, water literally leaves our body. So we are transmuted through water. Okay, does that make sense? So the earth is over 75% water. Your body, depending on your age and biological gender, is over 70% water. So the water that you are, okay, can move, can flow. So you want to ask yourself, where's your boiling point? 212 degrees Fahrenheit is boiling point on your stove. But internally, where do you go? I've had enough, I've had enough, I've had enough. When do you stop? So I was talking with a friend who said they were having an issue and this feeling of anxiety and something coming up, and then it started to affect their body. And I said, and they thought, oh, maybe it's because of my new situation in life. And I said, are you happy in your situation? And they said, yeah. But, I'm kind of like tentative, hesitant to be my full self because of my last situation. I was like, okay, so you're carrying a fear, like, you don't want to put old crap on a new situation. All right, we know that. But when's the last time you felt this way? Before you had these jobs and before you knew these people, when's the last time you felt this way? Oh, yeah, I felt that way here. So and then I had a conversation with another friend and a client who was talking about one specific, they did that and they're not owning up and I'm pissed about it. And, if I ever see this person again, I really need to get it off my chest. And I was like, whoa. Okay. Well, there's lots of things you can do. If you're listening and you're upset about something that someone did and you think they did it to you, or it affected you in such a way that you are now causing, you have so much wound or hurt, you're causing blame. We want to move that energy because the downside of Scorpio just represents, okay, planets represent. They don't give it to you. They represent. They're an external version of what you look like so you can get a clearer picture like, oh, that's what a mouse looks like. Okay, right. So the downside, the more mundane side of Scorpio is revenge, manipulation, jealousy, power at its worst. The higher side is transmutation, to become the power that you already are, to realize that. But you have to swim through the muck. And so I recommended to this person as well. Okay, so you feel what? What are your words? I feel really sad, disappointed, betrayed. Stop right there. Then I talked to a client the other day was in a completely different country, different culture, different world. Let's talk about, and everything distilled down to, well, how do you feel about that? Oh, I feel like, I don't know. They did this and they did that. And I was like, well, what did you do while they were doing this and that? And they said, I couldn't be myself. I couldn't be honest. I said, so where does the betrayal come from in you? You betrayed yourself. You weren't honest. Going back to the other two people, they weren't honest enough to say it was me. But then they became, and not a negative, sometimes you don't know that you don't know. So when they realized it, it's like, oh my gosh. And so in all instances, speaking to different people around the globe, and I'm telling it to you now too, when you feel something that is consistent and it leads to that place of, if it is anger, rage, betrayal, wounds, mistrust, that's one thing. If it's a repetitive feeling, there's so many versions of what we could look at, the sadness, sadness is usually you can feel someone's sadness if you're very empathic, and we all are, because we're divine energies in sentient beings. So we're feeling it. The vibration level is higher, higher, higher these days. Star seeds are coming in to help us move beyond a certain level of awareness. They call them dimensions, okay? So let's not get too, whatever. But the very next time you feel that thing that you've been feeling, you want to ask yourself, okay, wait, have I felt this thing before with this person? When? Well, last week in that other situation. Last year with that other person. 5 years ago? Running theme throughout my life. Okay, so let's try to find the thread that goes back to the beginning, as far back as you can recall. Well, says one of my clients, when I was 6 years old, that's what I remember. I felt that same feeling that I felt with that person. And I was like, okay, so it's not about the person. They're just there to remind you that you have this feeling. We are mirrors to one another. Does that make sense? Are we getting that? Let me just check in with folks. Come say hello to me. Hi, stars here. Okay, so I think it's really important that you look at the reasons for cyclical energies, right? Because you could live lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime and never really get it, heal it, or, change. And so you stay in one thought process. You stay in one dimension. We want to open you up to the next level of you. Okay, how will we do this? Well, the very next time that you have an issue, a feeling, a circumstance that is repetitive, and you say, I just hate that feeling. I feel sad, angry, enraged, betrayed, mistrustful of. Then ask yourself, when is the last time I felt this way? Not necessarily with that person or that situation or that political issue or that whatever. Because we have a tendency to fragment everything that we do, and we see them as like those separate stars or leaves, and we go, that's different, that's different. No, it's not. It has one root, and that's you. Make sense? So ask yourself, when is the last time I felt this way? And then before that, when was the last time I felt this way? Well, before that, and just keep going back and back and back until you can trace it as early as you can remember. And then that's where you can ground it into a place of saying, okay, so what is the real issue? When you're a kid, you may not have known about boundaries. When you're growing up and you're a teen, you may feel awkward and don't want to say no. You don't want to scare people away. You don't want to feel left out of the crowd. You don't want to be different. Whatever the situation is, there's so many reasons. That's not the issue. You can grasp the reason. But then eventually what happens is when you can grab that pattern by the collar and you say, I know you. Oh, yeah. Old friend. Okay. That's when you can transform it. Because sometimes just the awareness of something burns away cellular memory. Does that make sense? Does that? Hey, Jamie's here. Okay. Hi, Kathleen. Nice to see you. Does that make sense? So what I think is important too, as we continue the talk on bringing up these feelings, is that if you are feeling something less than positive to neutral, And if it's a one-time thing and you're like, oh, okay, it happened, I booked something with someone the other day and they never showed. And I thought, oh, okay, well, the first thought in my mind was, I hope they're okay. 10 years ago, it might have been, I have a schedule. I don't have time how rude, they didn't call, but no. I was you yesterday, I am you today, or I will be you tomorrow. Okay? That's where we go. That's where we go first. And if they spaced out and they forgot, when did you space out in your world and forget and leave someone hanging? I'm sure it happened. If not, it will. So it will lessen the severity of the need to judge. All right. I'm going to play with some cards. In fact, I was in the market. Oh, and then I spoke to the woman and she was horribly apologetic and guilty. I was like, no, it's okay. It all happens. I don't know what happened to my phone. It didn't log in the appointment and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's okay. It happens. It happens, right? So I was in the market for some new cards. I didn't vibe out, some of the time, the cards have to have a visual and also the written understanding that jives with my vibe and my, when people who do cards talk about, male and female, or if I come across a deck where it's only white people, okay, yeah, no. Or, all they talk about are angels as he. I'm like, no genders, okay? So I was vibing out and I saw this gorgeous deck of I Ching cards. It's gorgeous. But nobody in the store knew how to work them. How do you do changing lines with these cards? I don't know. Nobody understood the book. I didn't know what to do with it. So that was the end of that. Then I saw another card set. And anyway, I'm still on the hunt for something and it'll come. Because I have asked the universe. But in the meantime, we'll use my happy, magical cards. How else are people doing? Hey, Vicky. Okay, cool. Thank you for responding. I so appreciate that. When you have a friend leave and you're like, oh, I miss them. But now I have so much laundry. And I love it because now I'm just going to be alone and play house. I'll be back on Thursday. If you're new or you're just joining me or this is a replay, I'm here Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, unless, of course, something else major occurs, and I will let you know. But the new times for winter and in the Southern Hemisphere, we're moving into spring and summer. I am here 9:30 Pacific time, 10:30 Arizona and Mountain time, 11:30 Central, 12:30 afternoon ET time, and then 5:30 Greenwich Mean Time. Okay? Great. Awesome. Sage, jives with my vibe. I dig it. Grazing in the grass is so real. Can you feel it? Okay. So a card for everyone today. I just love the British baking show. And every time I watch, I saw, I'm up to speed on it, but one of my favorites is, I think her name was Rosie, and she just has this voice, and it just reminds me of a 1930s woman in a British movie. And it's just so amazing. When you melt the butter, it's just, it's like, I love you. I love you, Rosie. I think that was her name. Anyway, the show makes me cry because they're so kind. It's not like a Hell's Kitchen. Hi, Brittany. Lots of anxiety and hard to sleep. My mind won't stop. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, so if you are listening and you're having trouble sleeping during this retrograde because you might have Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, Leo in your chart, you might have an odd angle. You might have a Mars in Scorpio. If you're having trouble sleeping, always check with your doctor. I do not diagnose. Okay, don't misunderstand me, anyone, please. Rosie will help me through it. You want to research. What works for me is ashwagandha powder. I get organic ashwagandha powder on Amazon. That helps me. Melatonin helps me in low dosages. It's also great to reduce estrogen in your body if you have high estrogen, as an aside. Bonus. Also, L-theanine helps. GABA. The lozenges. Superior Source is a brand I like to use because they melt and there's no sugar in them. So these things, Kava tea by Yogi. I think it's the Yogi brand, stress relief Kava tea. Wow. These things really take the edge off and help. You can also look for, and again, you have to see what works for you. Talk to your healthcare professionals. Lithium orotate, OROTATE, 3 to 5 milligrams. Once, twice, 3 times a week. It's over the counter. It's a mineral, right? So these things can help tone down, and chamomile tea as well. If you're not allergic and you like it, yeah, you can, without the honey, no sugar. And these things help to take the edge off. Okay, so let's pull a card now so that we can help to remove negative patterns, anger, betrayal, a sense of unworthiness and lack of power that perhaps for you has crossed. We want to cross these beyond all time, space, planes of existence, dimensions, and karmic experience. Thank you, Starseed Angels. The benevolence of the universe that we are connected to, for showing us what can help us. What can help us today? All right, let me get this card going for you. There's one. No, but there's another that wants to come, so give me a sec. But right now we're looking at attraction. Ooh, trippy. Said trippy. Attraction. It's the same color as the background and the green screen, so. Attraction, what are you attracting? Whatever your vibe is putting out, you are attracting into your life. You are magnetizing. You are a magnet for everything in your world. So look at what's coming into your world. And if you don't like what you see, you either need to recognize the mirror to your own behavior or set a boundary to it and say no. That's it. Bottom line. What else can we do? Thank you, Spirit, Angels, Starseed. Okay, yes, for some. I pulled this last week as well. Intensity, right? You see that? The intensity is very strong in Scorpio. And so for some people, it's just like, I'm intensely tired, or, I'm intensely overwhelmed, or I'm intensely happy. And it's like, I can't contain. Or it's like, I can't, the rage, the ugh, it's there. So whatever's coming up for you right now, you can really connect to what's happening. When's the last time I felt this way? When's the last time I felt this way? What about the time before that? And eventually you distill it down to, oh, you know what? It's not about them. It's about me. Brittany says, watched Undone. Amazing. Right? Undone, I highly recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime. It's rotoscoped. You may not be familiar with that. I come from a world of animation. That's what I studied in college. And rotoscoping, a million years ago. Rotoscoping is the process whereby artisans paint on top of live action film. And it was so apropos for the subject matter. So, Brittany, as just a question, without giving away any spoilers, well, maybe I shouldn't say anything, but I'm just curious. Because it was just knowing the last 20 seconds of the episodic, it's a series. The last 20 seconds of the last show tells you who you are by what you think has just happened. Okay? Isn't that powerful? I, for one, I believe. That's all I can say. All right, one more card. Hey, one more. One more for the road. Remember that song? Who was that? The cards don't want to come. They're just like, they're sleeping. All right, let's do something else here. Let me do it in a different way. I don't mix cards like I'm playing canasta, or is canasta a card game? I don't know. I don't do that, but I'm going to do that now. I'm going to wake them up. Come on. We're going to wake up. Let's try that. Let's see what happens. What can help us as we focus on relieving and releasing those patterns in this retrograde? Betrayal, sadness, anger, the repetitive patterns that leave us feeling powerless. How's that for specificity, universe? Put that in your universal pipe and smoke it. Let's see. Let's see what they give us. Okay. Oh, we got it. Ooh. Creation and repetition. Okay, so repetition has a couple of different instances. When we look at what are we creating, you know what you're creating by the repetitive energies that come back in your life over and over and over again. The repetitive feelings you feel all the time. Every time that happens, every time it rains, I get depressed. Every time and now, of course, chemical things come into play. I didn't eat, I didn't drink, I didn't sleep, I didn't express myself. But when you are creating, and when is that? I'm sorry, do you know? Let me look at my watch. When are you creating? Every single moment that you inhale and exhale is a powerful moment of creation. So what you want to put into play in this retrograde is, number one, note, when do I feel this feeling? Oh, it's got me. When's the last time I felt this feeling? When's the last time? What about before that? What about before that? And eventually you take away all the players you think are involved, and it's not about them. It's about you. And then create in that moment. I create a moment where I feel more empowered. I love who I am. I am supported. I have a lot of work to do. I feel so overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. Let me ask for help. Let me take a break. Let me nurture my body. Let me get some rest. Let me drink some chamomile tea. Let me eat something healthy. Let me think thoughts that corroborate with a powerful, collaborative, supportive, loving universe. That's creation. And then it's just rinse, lather, and repeat. Or as Rosie would say, rinse, lather, and repeat. Okay. Sage says, my mom is a powerful Scorpio. Brittany says, yes, I believe in the last 20 seconds. Thank you. I believe. High five. Okay, because if we didn't believe, I don't know, what do you believe? That's the question. That was not sinister. That was not a sinister laugh. Okay. This feels amorphous today. I don't know why. Usually I'm so much more on point, but maybe I was. Sometimes, like my husband will go, wow, that was really great. And I go, seriously? I feel like I said the same 3 sentences over and over again. Sometimes that's all I hear. I don't know why. It just is. I will be back on Thursday. You can bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be more. More what? Well, I don't know. More repetitive creation, right? Thursday. Oh yeah, I will be back. The moon is in Pisces on Thursday. And we are excuse me. We're heading toward this is what I wanted to show you. Oh, blah, blah. Hang on. I remember now. We are heading toward a conjunction between the Sun and Mercury by the end of this week, which technically is the 8th of November. Okay, by the end of this work week, 2019. When the Sun conjuncts Mercury, oh, wow. Okay, for some people, it's going to be... I could have had a V8, or I know, I get it, or oh my gosh, I just realized something. Or you're just observing and you see, because Scorpio energy is very investigative. It's spy material. And you see and you go, oh my gosh, that biatch that I work with, now I know why she's so sad. She needs a cookie. I'm going to get her a cup of tea. Okay? That's where we're going. All right, I'll be back on Thursday as we get closer to the Sun conjunct Mercury in retrograde in Scorpio. It's going to be powerful. What will come out through your thoughts, your vibe, your energy. Okay? Thank you for being here. Thank you for being. Remember, if you're feeling something negative and it's not working for you, you have to ask yourself, when's the last time I felt this? And then when's the last time? And then before that, and then before that, and then before that. And then you're right through the fairy portal. I'll meet you there. See you Thursday.